when people say shoot on a camera set, they usually don't mean, you know. Sorry, can you just sit still before we start? I'm getting a migraine. He had a horrific childhood. I mean, there was a young boy so obsessed with mime and storytelling that one day he decided to act out a domestic violence scene in his house, which by all accounts was a bloody good act. But you know, he'd throw himself around the room pretending that his mother was smacking him. He'd smash into this, he'd bump into that, and eventually he threw himself out of the window. And of course, he had glass all over his face, cuts and bruises. And the neighbours got the wrong idea, and they called the police. And his mother was actually taken away after that, sadly. But
I was so invested in my character that I never told a soul. But you know, once the show was over and I bowed out of the foster system, I missed my mother terribly. And so now I make sure to add every little excruciating detail in my stories. And I think the children appreciate it, as do the staff.
The Three Little Pigs was a little bit close to home for me. He went way too far with that Pied Piper episode.
I originally wrote the stories for my children to enjoy, but apparently one Hans Christian Andersen had already written them. Preposterous. More like Hans Christian Planderson. Not very Christian-like.
I wrote a fairly damning review after one of the shows, and I thought that was it. It was a fairly poor show. It was a bad act, a bad story. And I went to tell my children a bedtime story in the evening. They were very young children. And while I was telling them the story, Little Red Riding Hood, a family favourite, they started adding or cultivating aspects of the story in a way that was a little bit macabre, which is not a word you often associate with young children, at least young children who haven't associated with the show Milk Splat.
Huh? Do you remember? Oh. Do you remember? Do you remember? Do you remember? You don't remember?
They started talking about a man under the bed, and I looked under the bed. There was nobody there, but there were marks. There were fingernails on the door frame. I prefer not to talk about it, really. I prefer not to talk about it. It's all over now. He's a wonderful mime. I was wrong about what I said. I'd just like to make that clear.
Jeremy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember Jeremy. Yeah. Yeah, terrible way to go. You know, when people say shoot on a camera set, they usually don't mean, you know. It's a good job he wasn't shot, you know, on camera. Although, that would have been good for ratings. Yeah. Jeremy.
Well, of course, I just had to carry on. So what if a man is bleeding to death before my very eyes? I've seen blood before. I've baked cakes with the stuff.
I would just like to make it clear that I didn't ask for these questions.
Apparently, he always brought a gun to the studio. Ever since Dougie the Duck went loco. The show must go on.
Absolute consummate professional. I mean, if he didn't have the guile to just continue the scene, we'd have gone down like a sack of potatoes, you know, or as we call now, gone down like a Jeremy. But actually, we were able to sweep it under the carpet, which actually, we got a lot of blood on the carpet. Huge dry cleaning bill, which I had to front, by the way. But after that, you know, we managed to get a lot filmed that day. Really productive afternoon.
My children, they need to be safe.
There were shots fired with the wife as well, but, you know, we sent her a hamper and that was that. I believe that he's doing very well for himself. I heard he was cast as the Hunchback in the sequel to The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I don't know the story, but I do know that it's sort of his life, you know, after the fire. I'm not going to go and see it, obviously, but you know, apparently he gives an adequate performance in it.
No, I actually did go to see it. You might have missed this. It was one of the only reviews I've ever written that I gave 5 stars without any words.
I'm bringing Mime back. Even if I do say so myself.
He's a very honest man, a very handsome man.
Apparently, he's absolutely hideous under the face paint, and I think you can tell that from the bone structure.
Me? Utterly ridiculous sentiment. By God, boy, thank you. You've ruined the interview. Yes, way to end on a bloody sour note. Unbelievable, stupid boy. Oh, pathetic. Too old for this shit. Actually, somebody help me.